Let's talk boundaries, because this is something that has totally revolutionized my business, because I was looking at them in the completely wrong way at the start. So this is going to be a super short video just to help you perhaps look at them in a way that I wasn't looking at them before. Okay, so often people think of boundaries as being super restrictive. I guess the word boundaries, and they think if I have really strong boundaries in place, it's not going to be fair on my clients and I'm not going to be able to deliver them the high level of service that I need. I was very much of this mentality. I came from the corporate world. I was a lawyer working in law firms, working with the best law firms, working with Magic Circle, Silver Circle firms, knowing that always the client, when they said something, we jumped and we just said how high, we worked really late hours. If somebody said they wanted something done by yesterday, we just worked and got it done. But when you work for yourself, that is a fast track to burnout. And I really struggled with this because I do want to deliver a really high level of service, and I want people to come to us and love what we do and really be known for delivering a high level of service. And I felt, therefore, that I had to keep saying yes to clients and doing things in the way that clients wanted to do them. That was wrong. And actually, in allowing them to sort of do what they wanted and trample over everything that I had set up, it didn't work well for either of us. And what we actually have now is a process that's really clear and really structured and really strong, but also a reputation of doing a fantastic job. And that was what I was really worried about. I was worried about if I wasn't available to clients all the time, whether they'd just think that I wasn't good enough and that I couldn't provide the level of service because I wasn't a huge corporate law firm. And the way that things shifted for me did come from someone saying something to me. So let me talk about the way things shifted, and then let me talk about how I've set things up for success in case you want to emulate that in your own business. So what someone said to me was, every time you are saying yes to a client, you have to be saying no to something or someone else. And I didn't really get it straight away, but after I had my daughter, I realized that every time I said yes to a client, I was saying no to her. I was saying no to time with her, or I was just saying no to being the best for her and giving my best. And actually, at one point, I was so tired from working all of the hours. I mean, if you are a parent, I have respect for you. I have respect for everybody who's running their own business, but doing it with young children is hard because children are exhausting and they don't have a manual. They don't do what they were doing last week. Totally could go on another video for that. But when you are working for yourself, you have the ability to work flexibly. A lot of us do in corporate and in self-employed roles now. When you're running your own business, you can choose your diary. So that might mean that you do spend time with your children and then you are working late into the evening, or you accept work and you have a high workload, which is a great problem to have, but it can lead to working so much that you feel burnt out. And I was in a situation where I'd accepted a lot of work, was doing that really well, giving my best hours of the day to that, and then it would come to the morning when she'd be up at 5 o'clock and I'd have to get up as well, and I was falling asleep and I couldn't play and I couldn't do those things at 5 a.m. that I needed to do because of compounded sleep tiredness. And it's not a case of like just thinking, oh, well, it's just one day. It's hard. But the difference that I realised, whatever it might be, whether you've got caring responsibilities for parents, whether you've got a hobby. I used to have hobbies before I gave everything to the business and children. No, I'm joking. But I did used to have hobbies where I ran a lot. I trained for marathons. I ran an ultra marathon. I know the dedication and commitment you have to run one of those, and the time commitment it has in it, especially if you've got a really demanding job. So whatever the pulls are on your time, when you say yes to something, whether that's a training schedule, eating well, living well, self-care, when you're saying yes to those things, you're saying no to something else, because there is only a finite amount of time, no matter who you are. We all have the same amount of time, and you can choose how you use it. And if you are saying yes to clients all the time, you are going to have to say no to self-care, or maybe you're saying no to Netflix, and that's an okay thing to say. Well, I'm going to say yes to this client because I don't want to watch that series on Netflix, but I definitely want to be available and like doing really well and not feeling exhausted and burnt out. So just that awareness of there's a yes and a no makes you then really careful about who you say yes to. And I optimistically set up my time frames, and I'd say this is when I'm going to take client calls and this is how it's going to work. But then obviously I realized that clients would want calls on a day when I didn't want to do them, or I didn't have the capacity to do them, or wasn't set up to, because sometimes I work from home and sometimes I work from the office. But I needed to work in that flexible way to suit me and my business and my family lifestyle. And then I was thinking, well, people are wanting these calls, I do need to be in the office. How is that going to work? And I just started saying no. So when people said, can we have a call on a Thursday? I just said, I can't do that, because actually something else is in the diary then. And that's time that's allocated for other things that I can't do. You don't have to say yes to everybody. You don't have to say yes to every call. You can say, oh, I can't do Thursday, but I can do Wednesday and we can speak late. And so you can have areas of your diary which are non-negotiable. But if you want to keep your calls on a Monday and a Wednesday only, do that. And then you can actually do the work on the other days. Because we all know that when you speak to clients, it kind of takes up a lot more time than you'd imagine, and it always does. And capacity planning is something which I'll talk about in another video, but having these boundaries is actually really good for you. And it also shows up in terms of often with payments. Clients of mine often have issues with people not paying them properly. And when we dig into it, it's always the people who have asked for a variance in the way that things are being paid. So they've said, oh, can I split that over? You may offer a 3-month payment plan. They said, can I split it over 5? Or can I pay this like this and then this? And it seems like it's just innocent and they're making a request, but what they're actually doing is chipping away at the process you have. So it may be the case that you want payment up front, and you may think, oh, I'll just, to be kind to them, do the work and not charge them up front. And just get on with doing the work and not wait for the invoice to be cleared before I give them the work, because this is a rush job or whatever it might be. But those are the clients then that don't pay. And then you're in a situation where you're chasing them, which you don't want to be in. And this is the difficult thing, is if you keep to your systems and your processes and you keep to those boundaries, you've got to do it as well, and you've got to set them. And I'm not saying, oh, if you set them, you can never change them. Definitely think about them and change them for everybody. But if you are thinking about setting up a situation whereby it feels better for you and you think, oh my gosh, in the corporate world, it would be something else, that's okay. Let them do things their way. Have things where you have to get back to people within 24 hours if that's what the corporate world wants. But you don't have to do that. And as long as you're clear and you really manage expectations, that's the important thing. So make sure that you're clear with your clients and say, I will be available to do calls at short notice, or I won't always be available. I'll give you the next slot, so they know. And they know in advance. Tell them how long you're going to give them notice for when you're going to be away, and say that, so you don't have to have that awkward, oh gosh, I want to take leave, and it's not leave because I'm not employed by them anymore. I just work with them and as a consultant, but I've got to give notice. So make sure that you are on the front foot with it. Say, this is when I'm going to be responding to emails, or this is when you can expect a response. I don't respond within 10 minutes because I'm doing other work. Phrase it in a way that works, to say you can expect a response from us within 48 hours. From time to time, we might have an automated out of office response or an automated reply, and that's a really good tip. Put an automated reply on if you're really busy. If you're really snowed under, pop that on and just say, I'm experiencing a really high level of emails at the moment, a high volume of emails. I have received your email and I'll come back to you as soon as I can. It may not be until, and give yourself plenty of time. Take that pressure away, and it just feels so much better, and it's a much nicer way to do business. Let me know in the comments if that's been helpful, and please do subscribe to the channel so you never miss any of our videos.